now on the CTV News at 5. The cleanup continues after a powerful storm hammers parts of southern Alberta. Plus, celebrating 40 years of Taper Cornfest. And Lethbridge Pro Rodeo action kicks off tonight.
Telling your stories. CTV News Lethbridge with Jackie Scantlebury.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. A big cleanup is underway after a powerful storm hammered areas southeast of Calgary and across southern Alberta with heavy rain and golf ball-sized hail. Around 7 o'clock last night, RCMP closed multiple roads in the area, including Highway 1 and Highway 36, after power lines were knocked to the ground. 511 Alberta shows that the highways are now open, but there were still closures and speed reductions in the areas as crews clean up and make repairs. Vehicles with significant damage were stranded along roadways. RCMP say a vehicle with occupants inside became trapped under a collapsed power line. The line was eventually de-energized and the people inside were safely rescued. As cleanup continued today, houses could be seen with ripped siding and winds reached upwards of 120 kilometers per hour in some places. At the height of the storm, Fortis Alberta said that there were 5,000 customers without power, down to about 1,000 by early this afternoon. Fortis says there still may be some without power in Brooks and surrounding areas. A 9-year-old pony and a 5-year-old camel at the White Barn Fun Farm were killed during the storm, with the farm estimating about $60,000 to $80,000 in damages.
To the north of me, where the more severe winds and hail hit, it's just swept right clean from the ground there. So significant crop damage in parts of the county of Newell. And then also just to the north of me as well, we had power lines get knocked down from the damaging winds, and a roof from a barn got torn off as well.
Environment and Climate Change Canada called this a severe thunderstorm, at one point saying it was moving east over Brooks at 80 kilometers an hour. Now, RCMP are investigating the discovery of human remains in Brooks. Mounties say a resident found the remains in an alley near Southside Drive at 6 p.m. last night. An autopsy is being conducted in Calgary. RCMP say the death is not related to last night's storm. And an investigation is underway into what led to a buildup of carbon monoxide that forced the evacuation of a southern Alberta First Nation hockey arena. Yesterday morning, people using the Piikani Nation hockey arena reported feeling unwell. Officials quickly determined the cause was an unusual buildup of carbon monoxide in the arena. The building was evacuated. EMS was on scene to provide first aid. It's believed some individuals may have required hospitalization. A review of the arena's mechanical operations is underway.
We are looking at, once it's safe to go in there. It was safe to go in there this morning. We've started the process of doing, a thorough investigation of what happened, why it happened, what was the root cause.
The arena will remain closed for bookings until further notice. And several facilities in standoff, they've been impacted by a water main break. The Continuing Care Centre and Administration building will be closed until further notice. That's according to the Blood Tribe Department of Health. Officials say the break happened yesterday afternoon near the care centre and involved an old cast iron pipeline. The Department of Health says staff from the affected programs will be available remotely with limited access to on-site resources. A home invasion in Lindsay, Ontario is generating a lot of debate surrounding use of force and self-defense after a man was charged for allegedly attacking an intruder in his apartment in the middle of the night. CTV's Heather Wright reports.
In this town of 22,000 people northeast of Toronto, many here are only talking about two.
I heard, what happened to, Jeremy upstairs, and from what I understand, someone broke into his place while he was sleeping, and they attacked him, and he defended himself.
It all happened in the unit above Jesse Kalabik's tattoo shop early Monday morning. Police say they were called to this apartment for a report of an altercation. They say the resident, identified in court documents as Jeremy McDonald, woke up and found an intruder in his home. A fight ensued, and the alleged intruder, identified as Michael Kyle Breen, was airlifted to a Toronto hospital with serious injuries.
I think what he did was justified. there's a lot of, controversy going on right now.
The controversy erupted after police charged both men. McDonald faces aggravated assault and assault with a weapon charges. Court documents suggest a knife was involved. Breen faces various charges, including possession of a weapon, break and enter, and failing to comply with probation.
Something is broken. I know if someone breaks into my house or someone else's, you're going to fight for your life. This guy has a weapon. You're going to use any force you possibly can to protect your family.
Kawartha Police, which laid the charges, defended their decision. Under Canadian law, individuals have the right to defend themselves and their property. However, it is important to understand that these rights are not unlimited in Canada. The law requires that any defensive action be proportionate to the threat faced.
We really need to know the details of what happened inside that home.
Defense attorney Joseph Newberger says it's too early to know exactly what happened inside the apartment and says Canada does have self-defense laws despite the misinformation circulating online.
We do have sufficient self-defense laws that are broad enough that if an individual comes in with a knife or a gun and you are at serious risk of bodily harm or death, you can respond with lethal force.
Court documents show there was an arrest warrant out for Breen, the alleged intruder, at the time of this incident. Once he's released from hospital, he will be held in custody pending a bail hearing. Meanwhile, McDonald will be in court at the end of September. Heather Wright, CTV News, Lindsay, Ontario.
Let's bring in Danielle Savoni for our first look at the forecast. And Danielle, quite the storm last night.
That was an exceptional storm, absolutely. It was a supercell that tracked nearly 600 kilometers from just east of High River all the way through into Saskatchewan. That's unique, and also some larger size hail with it. Golf ball has been recorded so far from it. The other key thing is almost 150 kilometer per hour winds. As you can also see, it's a completely different story now. So we're looking at quiet weather. High pressure is building in. That system off to the north will stay off to the north and then move into Saskatchewan. So we're not going to be dealing with that. Right now we have a mix of sun and cloud, 24 degrees. The temperatures are starting to climb. A ridge of high pressure is starting to build in. So it will get warmer and warmer as we go here. But at the moment, it's 23 in Medicine Hat, 25 in Pincher Creek, 21 in Brooks. More details coming up, Jackie.
All right, thank you, Danielle. Lethbridge Polytechnic has received its second largest donation in its history. $2.8 million has been donated from the estate of Joe and Laverna Horanek. The gift will support operations at the Polytechnic's research farm, enabling the continuation and expansion of applied agriculture research and innovation. The couple was born and raised in southern Alberta and were lifelong sugar beet, grain, and canola producers south of Chin. The family says it's their way of giving back and supporting the future of students.
They have supported the ideas and the innovations and the intelligence of moving forward in the food and farming. They love farming.
This is a really important way that we can just offset our operations, involve more students, get student projects to be part of the research projects, have students working alongside researchers, at the same time answering industry questions.
The Polytechnic has been conducting applied research in agriculture for more than 30 years. Well, Whoop Up Days isn't the only festival taking place in southern Alberta right now. Corn Fest kicked off about an hour ago with its annual parade in Tabor. This year marks a major milestone for the Free Festival as it celebrates 40 years. Following the parade, the grounds opened, including the Wild Rose Midway. Other events throughout the weekend include the Bullerama BMX show, the corn eating contest, and more. Organizers say if it wasn't for the community support, Cornfest would not be what it is today. Cornfest runs until Saturday. Now, along with the new 6th Street Suites area we told you about yesterday, more than 20 food trucks are at this year's Whoop Up Days Festival, and they're offering a range of different food creations. Within the food truck area, you'll be able to find Whoop Up Korean corn dogs, crunchy chicken skin, Whoop Up Days inspired dirty sodas, and more. The Lethbridge and District Exhibition says the food offerings are a one-of-a-kind Whoop Up Days experience that can only be found at the festival.
It's a lot of fun. I think that's the biggest thing. I have a huge history in food, and so it's a lot of fun to be back here and be developing things. And then watch the community reaction is actually the best part. When they put it in their mouth and they love it, you're just super happy about that.
The Whoop Up Days feature menu will be available to try throughout the entire festival. And this year's festival is showcasing the best local Alberta music talent on the original 16 stage, and there'll also be some well-known headlining performances as well. Canadian legends Trooper take the stage tomorrow night. The band is well known for its hit songs like We're Here for a Good Time and Raise a Little Hell. Ecoline Crush will also perform on Saturday. Multi-platinum selling country artist Chad Brownlee will headline the original 16 stage. Entry into the shows are included in your gate admission. And we can't forget about the flapjacks being served around the city again tomorrow. The DKI Rocky Cross Construction and Big Brothers Big Sisters Pancake Breakfast runs from 7 until 10 tomorrow at Rocky Cross Construction on 22nd Street North. Lethbridge Polytechnic and the University of Lethbridge, they're once again inviting the public to a free pancake breakfast during this year's Whoop Up Days. It will be held at CASA from 9 until 11. And Davis GMC Buick is hosting their annual corn roast tomorrow from 11:30 until 1:30 at the dealership. You can just go from food event to food event to food event. Danielle has the 5-day forecast coming up right after this break. Plus, we'll tell you about a potential game changer for people with kidney stones.
All right, here's your sky cam facing west. A lovely day and a much quieter day in the southern part of the province compared to yesterday, where we had a huge supercell roll through some communities. Dangerous, very dangerous weather, while we're looking at just quiet, calm, non-dangerous weather for the rest of this week. So hopefully you can get out and enjoy it. 20 degrees is the high so far in Calgary, 19 in Edmonton, lower 20s and through Toronto, mid 20s for Ottawa, Montreal, and through Fredericton. St. John's got to 20 today. Okay, looking at the temperatures right now, we're at normal or just a degree or so below normal for most communities. So we will get much warmer than this, and we'll get into those high 20s and in some cases, in some communities, the 30s. But it's going to take a day or two before that warmth really builds in. This high pressure is starting to kick in. That's why we have that stability. We're in the mid-20s. Pincher Creek, Lethbridge, Medicine Hat. Winds are relatively calm at the moment. There's that system that is now up to the north, and that will track over to the east and down. The reason why we're not going to be dealing with this is because that ridge of high pressure is starting to build in, so it's going to redirect it and push it over. I'll show you that on this. This is the upper air analysis, and there you go. There's that ridge building in. That's going to shift the low way off to the east. We're done with it. Sunshine's in the forecast, and calmer winds, at least for the next couple of days anyway. So here's a look at your futurecast, the hour by hour, and you can see that system push off from the north into Saskatchewan. The cloud cover should remain all the way in Saskatchewan as well. So nothing but sun is what's expected for southern Alberta for the rest of this week. Okay, and then that's pretty much a look at your futurecast, even in through Saturday. It's quiet. East Kootenay, 10 tonight, just a little bit of cloud cover, mainly sunny for tomorrow, and we'll crack that 30-degree mark for tomorrow. For all communities, the UV index will be high tomorrow, so if you're going to be outside, yeah, you'll need the slap on the sunscreen. Gusts out of the west, 40 kilometers per hour, Crow's Pass for the evening. And check out that overnight low, 4 degrees. So it's a chilly night for sure, but again, we're starting the warm up. 21 degrees for a high for tomorrow with a whole lot of sunshine. All right, and through the Medicine Hat area, 10 degrees tonight, just quiet and calm, 24 degrees with some sunshine for tomorrow. Again, UV index on that high part of the scale. And when we look at Lethbridge, and we look up wrapping up Whoop Up Days, 24 degrees for Friday, 25 for Saturday, 28 for Sunday with a whole lot of sunshine.
Canadian researchers believe they found a new way to deal with kidney stones. As CTV's Spencer Turcott explains, wireless micro-robots may soon be a game-changing solution for an often painful problem.
They're pretty big.
These are real kidney stones that were either passed or removed from a patient. And you can imagine, however they got out, it didn't feel great.
A lot of the therapies involve oral medication, so people go on oral medication, have to take pills maybe a couple times a day for several months.
That's not always effective or efficient. Surgery is another route.
So when it gets really acute and the stones are, for example, blocking the ureter, then the surgeons will have to go in and remove those stones.
A lot of times, once people get kidney stones, they're more susceptible to getting them again. So this team of University of Waterloo researchers were approached by a urologist in Barcelona hoping to get patients relief in a less invasive way.
He said, hey, you guys are doing these wireless microbots. Is there maybe a way that you could locally trigger the dissolution of stones by bringing medication or bringing a reaction close to the stones in the urinary tract, causing the dissolution, and then thereby avoiding long time medication or even surgery.
An obscure request, right? Not really. The answer from the UW researchers was yes, there is a way.
We set up a rotating magnetic field using a permanent magnet, which is attached to a DC motor. We control the position of the magnet using a robot arm. When I move the tube, it will move with it.
The microbots are made up of thin spaghetti-like strips fitted with magnets, which are moved into place near uric acid kidney stones with the robotic arm. The soft strips contain an enzyme called urease, and once in place, it reduces the acidity of the surrounding urine, which then dissolves the stones until they are small enough to pass naturally in a few days.
This is definitely the first of its kind for kidney stones.
The medical breakthrough is extra special for Afarine, who was a master's student when she worked on the project because she suffers from kidney stones.
The first time that I saw the robots move was one of the best days of my life, I would say.
The technology is still in the testing phase and needs more work before moving on to human clinical trials. Still, no small feat for a very small robot. Spencer Turcott, CTV News, Waterloo.
Still ahead on the CTV News at 5. If you're heading down to the rodeo tonight, we find out what you can expect next in sports. Cowboys and cowgirls are descending on Lethbridge as the Lethbridge and District Pro Rodeo kicks off tonight. This marks the 4th consecutive year it's been held at Whoop Up Days. The Pro Rodeo has turned into one of the largest sanctioned pro rodeos in the country. Competitors from across Canada and the world will be taking part. It's one of the last chances for competitors to earn points in hopes of landing a spot in the Canadian Finals Rodeo.
All of the events look great. We got a lot of world-class competitors coming, and then we also have contestants in every event because the heat of the battle for the Canadian Finals Rodeo is on, and we're the second last weekend, the second last tour stop.
The rodeo starts tonight at 7. It runs for the next 3 days, with the finals being held on Saturday. A group of Ontario teens is headed to the Netherlands. They'll be representing Canada at an ultra-competitive tug-of-war championship. CTV's Scott Miller reports.
With each practice, the Blue Water Youth Tug-of-War team is getting themselves ready to take on some of the best tug-of-war teams in the world.
It's a huge deal for us, you know. We're going to the Netherlands, it's a different country, so we know that the competition is going to be really hard over there because, you know, we've just been around here doing competitions in North America, and that's, you know, a small area. But now that we're going on like the world stage and against a whole bunch of other countries around the world, it's just a bigger deal, and we're really excited to show off what we got.
Hoffman is one of 10 members of the Blue Water Youth Tug-of-War team headed to the International Tug-of-War Tournament in the Netherlands on August the 30th. Very few North American teams ever get to participate, but this group of 10 to 17-year-olds who train bi-weekly near Dashwood have won the last 3 U23 North American Tug-of-War Championships, so they are eager to take on stiffer competition overseas.
Yep, the future of tug-of-war in Canada. Hopefully we can get it to grow back to what some of the countries like Switzerland and the Netherlands have with, you know, memberships in the thousands, but you got to start here.
Blue Water has always had a strong senior tug-of-war team, but building up a junior squad has been a slow and steady process, convincing kids they don't need to be 250 pounds of pure muscle in order to participate.
It's more about technique and having multiple people on the rope. More people on the rope that you can fit underneath the weight limit, the better you are.
It's really all in the legs. You just have to pull what you can.
Tug-of-war is totally inclusive. You just have to be strong for your weight, whether it's 100 pounds or 300 pounds. You're accountable for every pound of that on the rope, and that goes towards your team weight. So it's all relative, right?
Blue Water's youth tug-of-war team leaves for the Netherlands in just a couple weeks as they ready to represent Canada at the world's biggest tug-of-war competition for kids.
Yeah, it's so cool. Being able to tell people that you're going to represent our country is the coolest thing to be able to say. So
I'm really excited. I feel like it's a good opportunity for teamwork and just to represent Canada.
It's explosive power. Yeah, the kids are ready.
In Huron County, Scott Miller, CTV News.
It's still ahead on the CTV News at 5. You never know when you may be called into action for a cat rescue. We have that story next. A couple's camping trip to a remote Vancouver Island beach turned into a rescue mission to save a house cat. Someone's purring pet was lost in the middle of nowhere. Andy Garland has the story.
Sil Lee and Matt Reamer were expecting to see wildlife when they went backpacking, but never in their wildest dreams did they think they would come across a house cat in the middle of nowhere.
A lady came by and she said, "Oh, just to let you know, there's a cat living in the bushes right behind your tent."
Last week, the couple traveled to the North Island and then drove 90 minutes down a logging road to camp at St. Joseph's Bay.
We just didn't expect that our first camping would be like that. Never thought we would end up with a cat.
Having two cats of their own, they began helping other campers on the beach to try and capture the elusive feline by luring it with hot dogs.
Every time you called the cat, like, it would kind of meow and then it would be very shy and skittish and run away.
The next day, after several failed attempts and only scratch marks to show for it, their perseverance paid off and the tuxedo kitty was finally in their arms.
So I just put him into our tent, and then that's when we were like, now what?
They decided to cut their trip short and packed up all their supplies with the cat stowed away in a backpack.
And the cat was actually like calm, like oddly calm after being so skittish.
Matt and Sil took their unexpected travel companion to the North Island Veterinarian Hospital and called the number from a missing poster that was posted at the bay.
I think she was a little bit shocked. I think she had already kind of put the cat in the back of her mind.
The cat, whose name is Pipsqueak, went missing more than 2 weeks ago when it got spooked by a dog while camping.
Some cats do swim, hike, or even rock climbing, and I know those are possible, but I just know that it's not for every cat.
The couple ended up returning Pipsqueak to its owner in Nanaimo while heading back home.
Whether we got scratches, whether we had to cut our trip short, I mean, it was worth it.
Andy Garland, CTV News.
Thank you for sharing this time with us. Now here's the early edition of the CTV National News.